each other on this fine Sunday, March 30th. I am glad that you have joined us, and I want you to know that you are in the right place at the right time. So let's just breathe. Biblical practice, a biblical principle. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is a controversial topic these days among businesses and who is choosing to implement DEI practices or not. But we're not going there. While they choose to implement them or not, I wanted to investigate it in the Bible. Since my master's degree is in theology, I thought I'd go back to my roots here and do some of that kind of stuff. So as I investigated, it did not take long for me to find DEI very, very full in the Bible. So I'm going to look at that today, discuss my findings, and focus on what we can do. So with that, let's turn it over for announcements with Lori.
All right, everybody. I am giving the announcements today. We are missing Victoria, who is unable to attend. So we're going to, I'm going to go through the announcements. We don't have very many today, just a few. Please be patient with me as I'm looking at my cell phone as I'm reading this. So, all right. So, of course, we are live streaming this. This is a portion of the service where we are, we live stream. It goes out onto YouTube and people see it. But however, when we get to the portion of the service where we are sharing or when we're talking about the message, that is offline. We do not keep that online, so we can be as open and transparent as through our conversation as possible. So just so you know, right now you are being live streamed, and if you don't want your face to be seen on the internet, you can turn your camera off, and you can turn your mic off, and you can come back later when we come into our discussion. You can also find out what's going on at Unity of Tacoma by going to our events page at unityoftacoma.org, and you can go through our calendar, and we try to update that as much as possible. And so please go there if you're interested in what's happening here, and Amarius has put the link in the chat for you. I'd like to welcome our guest. We have a guest speaker, Cindy Akana. You just heard her just a minute ago. So I'm looking forward to her talk and her DEI in the Bible. I'm really looking forward to that because I know that there is a lot there and it's really important to cover that. So thank you, Cindy. We have a weekly book study that happens on Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And the book we are reading right now is Why Woo Woo Works by David R. Hamilton. And it's been a great discussion. We've had some really great topics to talk about, things that are scientifically proven to or suggested to work, and that there is science to back it up. So we talk about all these interesting topics. Last week it was Reiki. We've also talked about meditation. We're going to be talking about crystals. So all of that will be talked about in this book. So it's a really great book. So please join us, even if you haven't read the book. It's a great conversation either way. So join us at 6:30. If you are interested in the link, please let me know. My email is Lori@unityoftacoma.org. I got to remember which email I'm going to send out. I got like 5. So it's Lori@unityoftacoma.org. Okay. Our annual meeting is today after our message, so please stay on. It'll be at about 11:15. So after our message is concluded, just stay on. We're going to take a little bit of a break between the end of the message and when we meet at 11:15. You can go get something to eat, get some snacks. Make sure you get a drink of water and get up and walk around a little bit. But we want you to be very present during the meeting. So everything you have to do beforehand, please get it done so you're available. I'm sorry, my cat Georgia is trying to interrupt my announcements today. I also like to let you know that we are going to be having an Easter service here online at Unity of Tacoma, and that is April 20th. It'll be 10 a.m. in the morning. So we're going to have a great Easter service with contemplation and meditation and prayer and all of these wonderful things we're going to be doing on Easter. However, for those of you that are interested in having an in-person worship experience at a Unity church, we have been invited to Unity of South Sound to be able to attend their in-person message, and it is at 10 a.m. as well on the same day. And if you're interested in learning more about that, please let me know. Again, it's Lori at unityoftacoma.org, and you can pop me an email, and I would be happy to route you in that direction. Otherwise, for those of you who are not in the Pacific Northwest area, or who are interested in just continuing to meet online like we do right now, I will be available, and we will have an Easter service right here. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that you were invited to this in-person event, which is going to be a lot of fun. All right. That's pretty much all I have as far as announcements goes. So I really appreciate you all being here today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy.
Great. Let us continue with the prayer for protection. Read along with me if you would like. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. I have to do a couple little quick things on the computer so I know what I'm doing. Okay, so good to see you. I'm briefly gonna just start with a story that some of you already know about me, but when I was 50 years old, I actually found myself homeless, jobless, penniless, and
Cindy, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We can't hear you. You've faded out.
not good.
There you go. There you go. Yes.
Okay.
There you are. Okay.
Well, good, because whatever I was said wasn't very important anyway. So, okay. So, some of you know, when I was 50 years old, I found myself homeless, jobless, penniless. Well, I probably had a few pennies in my pocket, but not many. And I was actually quite sick, trying to overcome depression and anxiety. And I had some mobility issues from my lupus flare-ups and dealing with, I even had skin cancer at the time. So really weird for me because I'd been a college athlete, and all of a sudden they had this time where everything was very, very dark for me. But I chose to continue every single day because I had a beautiful son to live for and to care for. He was like my saving light. But he was funny because he loved to do things. He's a doer like me. So he loved to play board games. And so even though I didn't feel sociable sometimes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this anyway. And he wanted to play Monopoly. So we decided to play Monopoly. And so we have the board set out on the table, and we're playing. And I'm like, within 30 minutes, I am like penniless almost, and he's got houses and hotels and all the properties. And my properties, I have a few, but he's not landing on them. And I keep landing on his. And so I'm dishing out the money. And I'm thinking in my head, how sometimes art, people say art reflects reality or reality reflects art, and they combine. And I'm thinking, oh, why does this game have to reflect reality at this time? And it was actually quite depressing. So I did, with my strict emotional temperance that I have, I dog-eared the board and flipped it flying, and everything went, dispersed everywhere, hotels, houses, properties, whatever thing, everyone went. And I'm thinking, I'm declaring year of Jubilee, let's start the game over. Yeah. So I want to look at equity in the Old Testament. And as I'm looking at equity in the Old Testament, that is the year of Jubilee. And you can find that in the book of Exodus. Not Exodus, Leviticus, which comes after Exodus. Everyone knows Exodus because that's where the 10 Commandments came in, and Hebrews were enslaved in Egypt and they got out and all this stuff, right? Well, Leviticus is kind of a boring book. It's a lot about the laws as the people were wandering in the wilderness. It focused on the legal and the ritual and the moral practices that the Hebrews were supposed to follow. And among those practices, one of them was called the year of Jubilee. And again, found in Leviticus 25. But not only was it listed there, but it was given like specifics, like what you were supposed to do. And the year of Jubilee was to prevent, I love this, ongoing cycles of poverty and inequality. So they had something built in that every 50 years, leased or mortgaged land was returned to their original owners, debts were forgiven, people who had become slaves and bonded laborers were freed. The land had to lie fallow for a year, symbolizing, a time of rest and renewal. And the whole purpose of this year was to really symbolize God's grace, justice, and God's desire for a society where everyone had the opportunity to prosper and live in freedom. And I'm thinking, can you imagine that concept? I mean, this is an amazing practice. And I don't know how well they did it or not, but I just loved it when I initially read that a long time ago. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I don't even know, how that would look like for today. But the idea of, sorry, my cat's affecting me. But the idea of being able to like start over, like my Monopoly game, it's like I played it. Now, I think that we've heard that people, even though they get to start over, sometimes they replay their same patterns and they end up in the same place. So I would be the one that would be like, hey, let's do workshops and teach people new ways of thinking and doing things so that when they got to start over, then, then they got to, they'd get a better chance to do better the next time. So, yeah, and I'm just trying to think of some ideas of, how we could, do that today. I've got ideas. You do? Yes. Like ideas on how to be equitable in today's society? Oh, yes. And I'm talking so loud, the dogs upstairs are going to start barking. Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I do have an example. Okay, well, why don't you share it with us? Well, first of all, I'm Oscar, the officer, and Black Lives Matter. Bink. Well, thank you very much. Yes, this is my story. I always wanted to be a police officer, but I grew up fairly poor. And although my parents worked several full-time jobs, they didn't make enough money for me to attend police academy. Well, so how did you end up being a police officer? Well, I heard about a training program for underprivileged youth at the local police station. Oh, that sounds exciting. Yeah. And so I applied and I got into the program. Wow, that's great. Yes, it was super fun too. We got to go on rides with the real cops, go to the shooting range, pew, 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 pew. Well, we didn't shoot the guns, but we got to go. And we helped manage traffic at the local events. I even learned about CIs. CIs? Yes, that stands for Confidential Informant. Oh, well, that sounds like a great experience. Yes, well, the program led to a scholarship for BIPOC youth, and that's Black, Indigenous people of color youth, in the police academy where I worked my kabooty off. So I was in the top 5 of my class. And the rest is history. Well, congratulations. It's great that you got to go down that road. Yes, but honestly, if it wasn't for those programs for struggling families like mine, I would probably be just a security person at Fred Meyer. Now, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not what I wanted to do. Oh. Well, that's a great story. Yes, I know. Well, so thank you, Oscar. Yes, you're very welcome. Goodbye for now. I have to head out on my next beat. I'm Oscar the officer. Black Lives Matter. Bing. Thank you, Oscar. He is heading out to work, I guess. So we'll let him do that. What he was talking about reminds me of the nursing programs that the UW does during the summer, and they give scholarships to BIPOC youth to be in these nursing programs. And it's giving, providing scholarships for people who can't afford it, so that it's not giving them into the nursing program. It's just putting them in these summer programs so that they can become at a place where equity is all about getting people in a place where they can start in a spot where they can all have a chance to move forward. So it's not, when you think of equality, well, everyone gets the same thing. That's equality. But equity is, well, sometimes we give people a little more of this so that they're in a same place to start. So that's what some of these programs are like. And so those programs are absolutely awesome to have those happening. So that's a brief look at equitable practices, a big one in the Old Testament, and some of the things that we can do today. I'm going to flip back. So now I'm going to tell you to buckle up, because now we're going to jump to the New Testament, and I'm going to give you a history, but it's going to be very brief. So do not panic. You don't need to panic. What I want to do is actually to walk through the New Testament, because inclusion in the New Testament is huge. You cannot miss it. Well, I think you can probably miss it, but I mean, it's just there. It's just there. And so as I look at the New Testament, let's look at, first of all, I want to look at the Gospels. There's 4 Gospels. And I want to look at there we go. So Gospel was primarily written for a Jewish Christian audience. And it has the most references to Jewish customs, traditions, and the Hebrew scriptures. And Matthew presents Jewish customs without explanation, because his audience would be familiar with them. Matthew also, in the book of the Gospel of Matthew, it also emphasizes how Jesus's life and teachings fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies, which would be very important for the Jewish people. And it includes some strong criticisms, if you notice, towards Jewish religious leaders. And this is something that Gentile audiences wouldn't be able to relate to. The Gospels really aim to help Jewish Christians understand their faith in Jesus with the context of their Jewish heritage. So the next one I want to look at is Luke. This is not in the order they were written, but because I didn't get into all that. But the Gospel of Luke, now it was primarily written for a Gentile audience. So Christianity started with the Jewish people, and then you've got these Gospels they're like the 4 huge books in the New Testament that are trying to share this gospel, means good news, to others. And so here's Matthew, and Mark also focuses on a Jewish audience. But then we've got Luke that all of a sudden turns on he's focusing on a Gentile audience. Well, now you've just moved out. Okay, you've just moved out in the world, or you've included people that are not like you into your mission. And the reason they think that, or that they say that the Gospel of Luke was for Gentiles, which is non-Jews, is that the gospel portrays Jesus as the savior of all people. That's a really huge thing that goes on there, and not just the Jewish people. The author highlights Jesus's humanity and his compassion for all people. So there's great stories in Luke. If you're ever looking at like how Christ reached out to the marginalized and the outcast, those you're going to find in the Gospel of Luke. The Gospel of John, which is one of my favorites just because it's so different, but it was written for a diverse audience, which included Jewish and Gentile Christians in Asia Minor, which is modern Turkey. So now they're even moving further out, again, including more people into wanting to share this good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so they're moving into neighboring countries. Now, the Gospel of John explains the Jewish customs and Palestinian geography to non-Jewish readers. These are the things that Jewish people would be familiar with. So in this, it explains it to them. So they're like, oh, okay. And the author's goal is really to strengthen people's faith in Christ, Jesus, as well as bring about new converts. So there's no prerequisite or stipulation for those who could be Christian. didn't have to go to this class, or you didn't have to be this kind of race, or you didn't have to be this kind of color. It was like it's open to all. And so when you think of the New Testament, the biggest part of the New Testament is the Gospels, and then Acts, and Acts piggybacks onto that. And and their point is inclusion, God to all people. So let me look briefly at Acts. So in Acts, it's a story on how the gospel was moved, and it focuses a lot on a mission of a guy named Paul, who starts out Saul, has a big conversion story, and moves from being Jewish to being Christian. And he falls in love with this whole thing of Christianity and wants everyone to know about it. That he ends up making these three, they call them missionary journeys, but he makes these three journeys, and I have the slide there so you can kind of see where he, down in Jerusalem, and he's going up North Syria there to Antioch, and then he hits all these different towns. And at the time there was, towns called, Ephesus, or places called Ephesus and Colossae and Philippi and things like that. So he gets his first missionary journeys up kind of in the Asia Minor. And the second time you can see he gets all the way over to Greece, starts to get up into Europe, down to the Isthmus of Corinth and stuff. So these are the journeys that he takes, and it's talked about in Acts. And at one point in the scriptures there, he has a vision of some guy from Macedonia that's like, oh, come to Macedonia and help us people here. And this vision is put in Acts, and is such a pivotal point that really shows Paul, like God is calling Paul. God, oh yeah, is calling Paul to go to Macedonia, which is very, very far. He has to cross the water, has to get out of there, that, because the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ is for everyone. So he continues to spread out, which in the same sense is he's including everybody into this gospel, the good news of salvation. Now, with the Unity Church, I'm going to say that just the good news of the love of God, of being part of the family of God, knowing that God is for everyone, that God is present in everyone, would be the same kind of thing that you would do with what's happening there. So he does these three missionary journeys. That's how he spends his life. And then the other part, so that's the biggest chunk. It's probably like over 50% of the New Testament is that. And that whole story is the good news. And then I love that it's written to expand and reach out. And then Acts shows that how it's expanded and reached out. And then the rest of the New Testament are most of it is these letters written by Paul to churches in these different places he has visited. So he writes a letter to Rome, to churches in Rome. He writes letters to churches in Corinth and Galatia, Ephesus, all these different places that he had visited. He's writing letters, encouraging them in their faith. It's not a letters of how-tos or to-dos. It's this letter of encouraging them, really, that's focused on loving. There's no sense in this whatsoever of the people being exclusive in any way whatsoever. And I think, my gosh, that is the New Testament, is all about inclusion. It's just, you can't get away from it. And I think part of the thing about inclusion is you cannot ignore diversity if you're being inclusive, because inclusion is a celebration of diversity. I can't say I'm going to include this group but not this group. No, and include them means not to, okay, well, I'm not going to, have opportunities for these people. No, it's reaching out to everyone. It's sharing with everyone. So I want to, I don't know, that's kind of a side, but it kind of goes together too, because I like this point that when I was doing my own genealogy stuff, I came across this line, this German line that actually, when I got back to Germany, then I found out that that line actually went to France. And what that was they were the French Huguenots. And so I did more research on the French Huguenots when I was at Westminster College, the director of campus ministry there. We were doing stuff with tarot cards and stuff. So I was looking at some of that, and the Huguenots are connected. you'll find it, I want to say historically, I don't know how for real it is, but I'm just going to entertain it because I love the idea, because they're connected with the Black Mary. So some of this idea where Mary Magdalene left the Israel and made her way up to France to escape persecution. And the Huguenots are somehow connected to that Black Mary. And when I looked into my ancestry that came from this, what was really interesting to me is, oh my gosh, I have all these Magdalenas and Marys and Maries, generation after generation, that name gets taken down. So whether they're actually connected or not, but emotionally or somehow they're connected to them, even if it's just an emotional connection or some kind of, I don't mean it had to be ancestral, but there's some kind of connection there. And so even my own middle name and my mom, we both have the middle name Marie. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just kind of exciting when I think about that. But I think the point I want to make with that is that somehow, again, the people in the Middle East moved out. They made it to France. They made it to Germany. And then when my relatives when the Huguenots left France because they were persecuted for religious reasons. So again, they moved to Germany, and and a lot of them became Lutheran, and they were persecuted there. They came to the United States, and so here they are in the United States. They're bringing their faith to the United States. I just want to point this out: Christianity did not start in the United States. We want to say God bless America, and I have no problem with that. But it's almost sometimes the thinking is that, oh, well, God blesses America. Like this is where God started. No, God did not start here. It's like the people with Christianity and across the seas brought it here for us. So they included us. They embraced us. And to see that in my family, how it kind of moved, and it's like, again, all the people that moved to this area brought, their religious beliefs with them, and that's what was shared here. So let me close my thoughts with this. So there's a book, and I think people might have seen this theory by Mel Robbins. It's called the Let Them Theory. And he does this. You guys. It's not a new concept, the idea of letting, not trying to control people. And we have kind of the let it go, release. That's, things that we have in the Unity Church that we talk about. Well, her theory of this let them is the same thing. It's like when people are doing stuff and you're like wanting to fix it or change it, and the idea of just like, let them. So, but you let them go, but the next part is the let me. She puts them together, which I really like, because it's like, let them do those things and let me do this, because I only have control of what I can do. So if people are going to be fussy, I'm like, well, let them be fussy and let me take charge of myself and either remove myself from the situation or let me speak up and say something about that I feel like needs to be said. So I like that concept, but I actually want to look at, I want to change it a little bit to let God let me. And this is how I want to say how we can be inclusive. Connecting ourselves to the very source that is inclusive, equitable, and embraces and created diversity, embraces diversity. So when I think of the let God let me, it would be the idea that let God shower me with forgiveness, because God will do that. Let God shower with me with forgiveness, and then let me forgive those who have harmed me. Let God shower me with mercy, and let me be merciful to those I don't understand. Maybe I even don't like them. Let God shower me with love, and let me show love to my neighbor, no matter who they are. Let God shower me with grace, and let me be gracious to others, even if I don't think they deserve it. And that's the funny part, is because grace is really, when you give grace to people, it's because they don't deserve it. So it's the idea of being gracious is like, there's no judgment. It's like, I'm just going to be gracious to all, right? Let God shower me with peace, and let me be peaceful in my interactions with others. And we can go on, because in terms of what God is and who God is, God and the attributes of God is there to be showered down upon us, inside of us to be showered out, so that we can reach out with those things. So with that, I want to move into a meditative time. And we're going to do this let God, let me meditation. So get yourself comfortable. And focus on your breath, the life that is constantly moving in and out, moving in and around, and then releasing, drawing in and releasing. So focus on that breath. You can breathe through your mouth or your nose, but just notice it. And as you notice your breath, realizing that that is a gift also from God. The way we've been created as human beings, and you yourself, the ability to sustain life with your breath, with your blood, with your heartbeat. And now I want you just to picture, as I say, let God rain down upon us. I'm going to pick an attribute. And I want you just to immerse yourself in that. So, God, shower us with forgiveness. Just envision yourself standing in the shower of forgiveness and accept it. Let it sink in deeply. And as I move to let me, I'm going to say, let me share that forgiveness with others. And as you say that, I want you to picture a place where you're going to share that. Let me share God's forgiveness with others. Who were you going to share that with? Again, let's take another shower. Let God shower me with love. Picture that shower of unconditional love. It doesn't matter what you do, what choices you make, you are unconditionally loved by God. Let it permeate through your skin, into your heart, into your soul, into your third eye. Just let it sink in, that unconditional love. The gracious part, it doesn't matter if you feel like you deserve it or not. It is there for you. It is there. Everybody gets it. As I move to let me love my neighbor. What is a neighbor? Who is a neighbor? Somebody that you can extend that hand and that arm of love to. What do you want to do? Who do you want to do that with or for? I'm going to do one more. Let God shower me with joy. Ultimate joy that just says, I am who I am. I get to be who I was created to be. No one else gets this experience. I get to experience this. Shower me with the joy of you that says, you celebrate me for who I am. Let that joy sink in. God celebrates you, the idea of you, the life of you, the presence of you, the heart and soul of you. It's like a party. Let that just rain down on you, that joy from God that celebrates you and who you are, all the aspects of you. And then let me share that joy with, and you fill in the blank. How are you going to share that joy with? Who and how? When you're ready, come on back. I was going to play my song Heaven Walks, but I didn't end up figuring out how to do that. So, but I love the image of that, is that heaven walks here on earth based on the things that we do. How we carry God through the world is how heaven walks here on earth.
Cindy, do you have a link for that?
I can throw, I'll throw something in chat.
Okay. I can see if I can get it up if you would like me to. Yep.
And I have it here. I just didn't know if it would play. I can try it. I can try it. Tell me if you can hear that. Can you hear?
Not really. It's kind of drowning out.
Okay, well, we don't want to do that. Oh, I have to do the professional settings. That's why I didn't practice that. So anyway, we'll put something in chat. Whatever. Okay. So I think that is what I have. So at that point, then it would be, we have a benediction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is there an offering that I say?
No, you're good.
Okay.
They know they can go to the website and give there. And yeah. Marius can put that link in the chat.
Okay, that'd be great. Which continues to support the Ministry of Unity of Tacoma, which is a very inclusive ministry. And it's always reaching out to all people. Yeah, appreciate that about your ministry. So let's close with a benediction. As we know, God showers us with love and grace and peace and joy. Help us to go forth and be that vessel of love and grace and peace and joy to the world in the best ability that we have. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you all.
Thank you.